Let me start with the chapter 20 in the first PC biology. And that is the locomotion and movements. Lot of difference between the locomotion and movements. So locomotion means the organisms move from one place to another place for, say for example, for breeding and for food, that is for feeding. So this is known as locomotion. Movements are the stationary. They do not move from one place to another place, but they show some movements. Hence, all locomotions are movements, but all movements are not locomotions. That is very important. And then the movements are of three types: amoeboid, ciliary, and muscular. Amoeboid movements, say for example macrophages of aerial connective tissue, and the neutrophils, which are phagocytic in nature, that is of WBC, they are phagocytic in nature. They show amoeboid movement. Even the amoeba, by putting forth the pseudopodia, shows movement called amoeboid movement. And then the ciliary movement. So that is can be observed in paramecium. Paramecium, it moves by the cilia. And even the hairs present along the trachea help in the transportation of materials. They also show the movements. And muscles show especially the movements. Very important, muscular movements. And there are three types of muscles. So there is unstriped muscle, smooth muscle, also called visceral muscle, skeletal muscle, striped muscle, and cardiac muscle. So I will give you just differences like this. So this visceral muscle, smooth muscle, fusiform in shape, and cylindrical in shape, skeletal muscles. Cardiac muscles also cylindrical in shape, uninucleated here, and this is multinucleated striped muscle or skeletal muscle, multinucleated, that is synctium, no cross ones, multinucleated. This is also very important. Here it is again uninucleated, cross ones are present here. And then the bands are absent, hence called smooth muscle, visceral muscle, non-striped muscle. Bands, dark bands, light bands are present. Here also bands present in cardiac muscle. Involuntary smooth muscles, voluntary skeletal muscles which present around the bones especially, and then involuntary cardiac muscles, as we know. Do not experience fatigue, do not experience fatigue. There is also one more difference between these three. And then apart from this, so they are present along the digestive tract, hence called visceral muscles, and present around the bones, skeletal muscles, and the restricted to only heart. But cardiac muscles have a unique feature, that is the cells are branched. So that is an important characteristic feature of cardiac muscle, though it resembles the striped muscle and unstriped muscle. Striped muscle having bands, and unstriped muscle, because it is involuntary, do not experience fatigue, etc., and it is unicellular. So these are the characteristic features. But the unique feature of the cardiac muscle, that the cells are branched. That is very important. And coming to the, what are all the movements which we can see in the skeletal muscles, that is given, that is very important. So in case of skeletal muscles, I will give you one code word. Ye dil. Sachin Tendulkar usually he will a mimicry of this one. Sachin Tendulkar. Ye dil mange more. So like this Sachin Tendulkar will speak, So that is ye dil. So this skeletal muscles consists of Anisotropic bands, anisotropic bands called dark bands, AD. Iron, dil. Isotropic bands are the light bands. These light bands contain actin, and the dark bands are anisotropic bands. They contain myosin. Actin and myosin are the myofibrils present in the myoplasm or sarcoplasm of the skeletal muscles. And the A bands are these are the dark bands, anisotropic bands. Thick bands are held by M line. And the light line between two dark bands called H line, that is also called Henson's line, H line. And the dark line between the dark line, that is the dark bands between the light band, that is called Z line, Zwischenschiebe line actually, not given in the book, Zwischenschiebe line. Space between two Z lines called sarcomere. Sarcomere is the unit of muscular contraction. Thus, the actin and myosin play an important role in the movement. This movement is called sliding filament theory. According to this sliding filamentary theory. So, at the how the contraction and the relaxation of the muscles takes place means how the muscular movements takes place means at the neuromuscular junction. It is the motor nerve which initiates the movements in muscles, and this motor nerve and the muscular junction, neuromuscular junction, acetylcholine is secreted, that is a neurotransmitter, and this acetylcholine releases calcium, and there are the actin consists of F-actin filaments consists of two filaments called tropomyosin and troponin. Tropomyosin is continuously coiled filaments, and they are the polymers of globular actins. Tropomyosin, and troponin present here and there, and it is continuously distributed. That is about actin. And coming to the myosin, meromyosin, that is heavy meromyosin, HMM, and light meromyosin. They are also called twisted, and it consists of head portion and site for the attachment of the troponin or actin, and then site for ATP, and a cross arm is present here in the myosin, that is the meromyosin filaments. To begin with, once again, at the neuromuscular junction, acetylcholine is secreted, and this acetylcholine secretes the calcium, and this calcium removes the mask on the troponin, so that the troponin binds with the myosin, forming a cross bridge, for which energy required is utilized from the ATP. ATP is broken down to the ADP and P. Thus, the cross bridge is formed. This is one step. A reversal of this takes place after this. At the same time, the A bands retain their length in the same length, but the Z bands contraction takes place, that is the sarcomere contraction takes place. This is one step. And later what happens, this the myosin helping the hydrolyzation of the ATP is hydrolyzed, then ATP gives ADP and P, and then the contraction will not take place at that time, and cross bridge is broken, and this is about the second step. Thus the contraction and relaxation, the sliding movement of the muscular tissues takes place. That is very important. And then the next to this, the muscles, a bundle of muscles called fascia, forgotten that one, bundled skeletal muscles bundled into a mass called fascia, that is important. And rigor mortis means the muscles become stiff after the death, that is called rigor mortis. So this is also very important feature to know about the death. I mean, whether it is a suicide or at what time the suicide has occurred, based on the rigor mortis, the stiffness of the muscles, this can be revealed. And more than this, there are red muscles which contain myoglobin pigment, and with more number of mitochondria. Less number of mitochondria and more white fibers are present in sarcoplasmic reticulum, that is the white muscles are also present. So that is about the skeletal system. And next to this is the bones, about the bones. And then there are about 206 bones in the human body. And there are the axial type and then appendicular type of the bones are present. Axial system and appendicular system. Axial system consists of about the 80 bones. So it is the 14 face bones, and that is the skull consists of about 29 bones up to this. And there are 8 cranial bones. 1 frontal, 2 parietal, 2 temporal and 1 occipital, 6 bones. Sphenoid and ethmoid together called 8 bones. 1 frontal, 2 parietal, 2 temporal from the base of the brain, and occipital 1, 6 bones. 6 bones, sphenoid and ethmoid are the 8 bones. 8 plus 14 facial bones, that is 22 bones. And the 6 ear ossicles, ear bones, miss bones, malleus incus stapes, 6. So 22, 6 comes to 28. And the tongue is attached to a bone called hyoid bone. Thus there are 29 bones in the skull. So this axial system, it consists of the 80 bones. Apart from this, 29. Next to this, there are 24. 29 and this 24 ribs. That is the thoracic cage consists of 24 ribs, and 29 plus the 24, that is 9 plus 4, 3 and 53, and this sternum is 1 bone, that is 54 and 26, that is 26 bones of vertebral column, CTLSC. Cervical always 7, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacral 5 and caudal 1. That is that amounts to 7 plus 12, 7 plus 12, 19 plus 19 plus 7 plus 12, that is cervical, thoracic, and then that is 19 vertebral column, 19, and then this again CTL lumbar 5, that is 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, and then lumbar and sacral together called 5, and only 1 caudal, that is 26 vertebral column. So that is totally 80 bones of the axial system. Coming to the appendicular system, and here the thoracic cage, there is also, these ribs are called bicephalic ribs because they joined in front with the sternum and they behind they are fused with the vertebral column, hence they are called bicephalic ribs. That is very important. And about 7 pairs of ribs. 7 pairs of ribs. 7 pairs of ribs, they directly join with the sternum. They are called true ribs. And 8th pair, 9th pair, 10th pair, these ribs are not directly fused with the sternum. They are fused through the cartilage. They are called false ribs. But the 11th pair and 12th pair, not at all fused with the sternum. They are called the floating ribs. Floating ribs. Thus, they are also called these ribs which are attached to the sternum in front and behind vertebral column. Hence, they are called bicephalic ribs. And coming to the appendicular system. This appendicular system consists of the remaining bones, apart from the 126 bones. They constitute the appendicular system. That is, the both hands and these legs. Say for example, here in each hand the humerus, radius ulna, and then carpals, 8 bones, metacarpals 5, and 14 digits bones. That comes to 30. 1, 2, 3, 8, 11, 11 plus 5, 16, 16 plus 14 digits, 30. Similarly, here also 30 bones are present. 30 bones are present. And here also 30 bones. The femur bone, the thigh bone, the longest bone. The smallest bone is ear ossicles, that is the stapes, and the longest bone. And then tibia, fibula. And ankle bones, not tarsals. Carpals are 8 in number, but they are only 7 in number. And metatarsus, that is 5 again. And 14 digits again. That comes to actually 29. But with the patella bone, this patella bone, with the patella bone, 30 each. That is 120 bones. And coming to the pectoral system and pelvic system here in the appendicular. This pectoral, it consists of scapula. Scapula consists of a ridge-like structure called spine and expanded portion called acromia. And then the pelvic bones, it consists of 2 coxal bones. Each coxal bone consists of ilium, ischium, and pubis. And this humerus bone articulated with the pectoral through the glenoid cavity, and the femur articulated with the pelvic through acetabulum cavity. These are also very important. And coming to the joints, they give fulcrum, act as fulcrum. That means supportive structure, joints, and cartilaginous fibers are present, and there are fibrous joints. Fibrous joints are present in the cranium, that is the frontal, parietal, they are joined by, and they do not allow any movement at all. The fibrous joints and cartilaginous joints. There are cartilaginous joints. So here the ribs are the true ribs. They are joined. The ribs are joined with the sternum through cartilage, and they allow little movement. And coming to the synovial joints. Synovial joints filled with the fluid, synovial cavity and synovial fluid, and these are of different types. I will give you the code word BGSHP. Ball and socket. The humerus articulates through the glenoid cavity and femur acetabulum cavity. Ball and socket, just like ball and socket, that is the synovial joint. And then the gliding joints of synovial joints, that is, can be seen in 8 carpals, between carpals. And between carpals and metacarpals, there is saddle joints, BGS, and hinge joint. It attaches the patella, that is the knee bone, with the legs. And then the pivot joints, atlas and axis, that is very important. And coming to the other abnormalities and the disorders of this skeletal system. Number one is the myasthenia gravis, which is autoimmune disorder. This results in fatigue and paralysis of the skeletal muscles, and muscular cramps is myotonic dystrophy. It is inherited through the dominant genes of autosomes, that is the characterized by degeneration of the skeleton. And coming to the tetany, rapid spasms because of low calcium, and arthritis, inflammation of joints, and osteoporosis, that is the loss of calcium, as well as it is caused because of the under secretion of estrogen, that is decrease in the mass of the bones, called osteoporosis, and the gout, that is the inflammation of joints due to accumulation of uric acid. Thus the gout, osteoporosis, myasthenia gravis, and then myotonic dystrophy, tetany, arthritis are the other disorders of this skeletal system. So study each and every sentence, and then please subscribe.